everyone, and welcome back to Thorough Newspaper Analysis, which is brought to you by LawSikho. Let's see what articles are important today. So specifically for our exam point of view, today we have only one article from the Indian Express, which is titled as Liberty and Responsibility. So this actually is talking about the internet ban and the curbs on internet that were imposed in Jammu and Kashmir, and we'll be talking regarding that. One thing to be noted here is that the author of this article, Aishwarya Bhati, she is a senior advocate who is practicing in Supreme Court and has been a former secretary of the Supreme Court Bar Association. Now, another thing that is noteworthy is that Aishwarya Bhati is the lawyer. She is the advocate who has been the face behind the very case wherein it was urged, and that actually happened, that women were granted the permanent commission in the armed forces. So it was Aishwarya Bhati who represented the women in this case, and so it is important for us to know. And then secondly, we have the News in Flash column, which actually is LawSikho's initiative, wherein we'll be discussing the pointer news, which is important for our prelims point of view. Now let's begin with the article which talks about internet ban in J&K. So first we need to understand the background, as we know that on 5th of August 2019, internet was suspended in the entire Jammu and Kashmir. So what happened was Article 370, which actually till this date, till August 5, 2019, gave a special status to Jammu and Kashmir. But it was then on 5th August, it was revoked. Article 370 was revoked, and just after that, what happened was internet was banned in entire Jammu and Kashmir, and it was done under the Telecom Services Public Emergency or Public Safety Rules 2017. So this should be kept in mind, that which law was used to put down the internet or to suspend the internet in Jammu and Kashmir post revocation period. So it was Telecom Services Public Emergency or Public Safety Rules 2017, and this is the very notification which was given by the Ministry of Communications in the same regard. Now, why is the suspension necessary? Now, what we need to see and relate here is that at one side where the status of Jammu and Kashmir has been changed, Article 370 was revoked, what did it really have to do with the internet, and why was it necessary to ban the use of internet? So there are two reasons primarily to it. First, cyber terrorism. Now, what basically do we mean by cyber terrorism is that when there is any kind of terrorist activity, any kind of terrorist recruitment, any kind of funding for the purpose of terrorism that takes place, making the use of internet, that simply amounts to what we know as cyber terrorism. Now, basically, to take an example, like for example, if we search for some particular thing, like if we are searching on any of the commercial websites like on Amazon, Flipkart, Myntra, or any of for that purpose, and if we are searching for some shoes for that matter, or we are searching for some kind of watch or any handbag or anything for that purpose, so we shut down the site, we do not go there for a while, but then within a few hours, when we revisit on our social media platforms, like it could be Facebook, Instagram, or any other thing, so we notice that the similar ads tend to come on our wall of similar things that we searched on some other site. So this is called the artificial intelligence, and this is how the audience is targeted. So they understood that this particular viewer has shown some interest in buying this particular good, and that is why they try to show similar things again and again to that viewer. Similarly, when such posts that are put up by some terrorist groups or institutions for that purpose, they are liked, or if they notice that somebody is showing kind of interest in those posts, so they actually find their target and then they start following that particular person through internet. Now that results in influencing through internet. They try to communicate through internet, and also a large kind of funding is also done on the internet as well. Then secondly, huge hostility was found or it was noticed at the line of control. Now we know that line of control is the delineation which we follow between the Jammu and Kashmir and the Pak occupied Kashmir, the part of Kashmir that has been occupied by Pakistan. So that nearby to that line, a lot of infiltration of such terrorists was noticed, and it was becoming easier for them to form communications because internet was available to them. So to put down any chances of cyber terrorism or any kind of hostility near the line of control and any kind of infiltration to the land of Jammu and Kashmir, it was important, it was necessary that internet be suspended for the time being. Now, what we need to understand next is that what has been the Supreme Court's stand or Supreme Court's take on this particular issue, because definitely right to internet, as also proclaimed by Kerala High Court, it has been declared as the as a fundamental right, and even otherwise if construed indirectly also, it comes under our right to education, which is one of the fundamental rights under Article 21A. So when internet is banned, it not only hampers education, it hampers various kinds of economic activities and various other kinds of daily activities also. So it was definitely a question put up in the Supreme Court that such a ban should not be allowed, and it is violative of the fundamental rights, so on and so on, so on and so forth. Then the Supreme Court had played a very amazing and, to say, a very good role in this, as in January, in the case of Anuradha Bhasin versus Union of India, and we've already discussed this case in our previous sessions, what happened was Supreme Court created standards for the executive like the proportionality requirement. So it said that if at all it is necessary for the government over there to put up such internet bans, then it should not be done with a blanket ban. It should be done selectively, and it should follow a test of proportionality, wherein it should be seen that which areas are more targeted and which are more at the risk of being violated, and which areas are comparatively safer, and according to that study only the internet ban should be put up. Then recently what happened is that in the case of Foundation for Media, this happened in May, Foundation for Media Professionals versus Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, the Supreme Court has ordered constitution of a committee to review the suspension. So it has said that a proper committee be formed, and now it shall review that what even the guidelines that were given in Anuradha Bhasin are even being followed or not, and what other curbs are being put up that can be relaxed. So with this, what we will have in hand is balanced constitutionalism, which actually is the very ground of this article today, because the author says that it is not only the duty of the Supreme Court to safeguard the rights of the citizens, but all the three organs now of the government, now be it the legislature, be it the executive or the judiciary, all three are responsible, and in some or the other way equally responsible, to safeguard the rights of its citizens. So at one side, where Supreme Court has played such a nice and active role in safeguarding the rights of the people in Jammu and Kashmir, similarly the executive over there and also the legislature of that particular place should be responsible to blend these rights properly and to give the best of rights that are possible to its people, and thus an approach of balanced constitutionalism should be followed. What steps should the government take? Now, as we are talking about balanced constitutionalism, so definitely there has to be a role that is to be played by the government. So government can gather inputs from individual districts and place before concerned authorities. So as we already talked about the proportionality requirement, so data and proper inputs can be gathered from individual districts, and instead of a complete blanket ban, particular districts can be kept in mind and ban can be put up accordingly. And then it can introduce legislation to curtail fake news for the whole of India. So the author says that it is not only important to ban or to curtail fake news, to keep a check on fake news in the area of Jammu and Kashmir alone, but it is a severe problem which entire country is facing. So steps can be taken to curtail fake news. So an example to this can be that recently in the state of Telangana and also in Uttar Pradesh, it has been made mandatory for the police officers to be enrolled, or to be a member of the groups on various kind of social media platforms like WhatsApp or Hike or similar groups, and they have to keep an eye on whatever the dialogue is being exchanged in that group, whatever the forwards are being taken up in that group, and they have to check if there is any kind of fake news that could float in these groups. So this is a good step, and here even the police becomes aware of the fake news, and it can be put down at a very initial stage. So this was all for the major discussion about the internet ban in J&K. These are the two most important developments, as Anuradha Bhasin versus Union of India was the previous one, and the most latest one is the Foundation for Media Professionals versus Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. Now, let's just jump to our column of flash news in flash. And the first is about US withdrawal from WHO. So WHO is the World Health Organization, and very recently the president of the United States, Donald Trump, has formally started the procedure for withdrawal from the WHO because after the COVID-19 pandemic, and it is still going on actually. US, or mostly we can say Donald Trump has claimed that WHO has not been very neutral in its approaches and it has not been working efficiently. And to say USA is the biggest funder of WHO. So this actually is a big cause of concern for WHO. And in the same direction, the Donald Trump has sent a notice to United Nations General Secretary Antonio Guterres. So this should be kept in mind. Then the second point is CBSE has reduced the syllabus. So now, keeping in mind the difficulty that is being seen in getting connected with the students due to internet issues, or due to the lack of gadgets, or due to the lack of training on the part of teachers and authorities, CBSE has sought to say a solution to this, a part of solution to this, wherein it has decided to remove subjects concepts that include democracy and diversity, gender, religion, caste, popular struggles, movements, remove chapters that include citizenship, nationalism, secularism, and partition of the country. Now, what should be pondered upon here is that all of these topics that have been removed are actually very important when we talk about developing the conscience of a student. And CBSE has reduced the syllabus, but that should be understood that is the syllabus or the vastness of the syllabus that was causing the problem, or was it the improper connections, internet connections, lack of technology, or lack of training that was causing the problem? So this should be understood. Third point is Indian Navy has concluded Operation Samudra Setu. So it is now done with this operation. Now, what was done under Samudra Setu operation was it was launched to repatriate Indian citizens abroad. So whatever the Indian citizens were working abroad, they were stranded there due to the putting down of communications and also mostly the transportation. So it was the duty under the Samudra Setu operation wherein they had to be brought back to India. And in this, INS Jalashwa, INS Eravat, Shardul, and Magar participated. Also to be kept in mind, INS Eravat also took part in Operation Vanilla, which was done in Madagascar, wherein a few months ago there were severe floods in Madagascar, and it was urged from India to help Madagascar. So at that time, Operation Vanilla was done by Indian Navy, and INS Eravat was the one that actually worked in this operation. So fourth is sanction on Indian despite tension on border. So this is done under CARTSA. CARTSA is actually one of the regulations, one of the acts of America, which stands for Countering America's Adversaries Through Sanctions Act. So the very name suggests that if there is any adversary or there is anything that is contradicting the interest of America, so America shall counter it through sanctions. Now sanctions here we mean mostly the economic sanctions. So it has kind of signaled to India that if we continue our deal of buying or purchasing the S-400 missile system from Russia, and Russia, as we all know, is definitely is not in the good books of USA, and any country that would openly favor Russia would definitely be not in the good books of USA again. So it has again kind of warned India that if we do not withdraw this purchase from Russia of these S-400 missile system, then it would be liable. Then India would be liable for some kind of sanctions under CARTSA. Then again, yesterday we discussed about the Kuwait expat quota bill, which aimed at putting a cap of 15% of its population to Indian population in its total workforce. And if passed, it could have affected about 8 lakh of the Indian workers who were working over there. And to our misfortune, what can we say to the best, it has been passed. So let's see what does it have for India in the future. The next is Indian Railways to be the net zero carbon emission mass transportation network by 2030. So Indian Railways has planned to solarize the railway stations by utilizing the lands that it has in vacant. And with this, it would become the first transport organization to be energy self-sufficient. So it will be actually the one that would be giving almost zero carbon emissions for that matter. And then the last for today is a new book has been launched on Trump, which is titled as Too Much and Never Enough: How My Family Created the World's Most Dangerous Man. So this actually has been written by Mary L. Trump, and she is the niece of Donald Trump. So this can be a prelims question, potential prelims question as well. Now, the MCQ question for today is, under which law was internet banned in the, it can be also considered to be as suspended, still just the same meaning in this context. Under which law was internet banned or suspended in the Jammu and Kashmir post the revocation of Article 370? First, Information and Technology Act 2000. Second, Telecom Services Public Emergency or Public Safety Rules 2017. Third, Telecommunication and Internet Restriction Rules 2016.